Okay, it's live. And now, as always, I'm checking my profile.
Troubleshoot 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Mm, don't see it yet.
I see 6 people,
I,
so that
oh,
means
yeah,
there are way
yeah,
more than 6.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, last week was crazy. Oh, I got a notification on LinkedIn. Yeah, nice.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
okay, so oh, I can hear myself. What up, people? Welcome and thank you for joining us again. Yeah, okay, nice. Mike is MP. I think that's Mike, right? Please remind me in the chat. MP. That's I believe that's Mike. Saying yo guys. Geert
Good afternoon.
is here. Arthur, hola, hola. I don't see Betonstorter.
Yet,
Okay,
yet.
cool. No, not yet, not yet. Um, I can nice. We have 19 people on LinkedIn as well. For the people on LinkedIn, can you drop a comment if you can hear me? I can actually I think now.
Yeah,
Gijsbert, what up? Cool. Okay,
great
man. How's
stuff.
it going? Well,
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. It's almost the weekend. It's a nice day over here in Valencia, so
nice.
yeah, it's a good day actually. So not much going on except PPC Mastery stuff. So that's also always a nice day. So that's
Absolutely.
nice. Looking forward to continue on the slide deck for a masterclass and stuff like that. So
Nice.
really nice day. How about you?
Cool. Yeah, also good, man. I think Gijsbert is he knows where we are. Hola, señor.
Hola.
Uh, Hola, hola. No, I'm good too, man. It's actually my last week in Malaga, so I'm going back to the Netherlands on Monday, which I'm pretty sad about. But
Ooh, it's snowing. It's snowing right now.
yeah, I don't even want to know, man. Yeah,
Luke,
it's gonna
Luke and
be.
Hanneke, they went on a plane as per today, and they basically just went from 20 degrees to landing in the snow.
Oh my
So
God,
that's a
that's
crazy contrast.
yeah. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Nah, not looking forward to that yet. But anyway, thanks everyone for joining us once again. I will queue up the first question. And it is from Doubt in the community. He's been asking this question, I think, for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we kept skipping over. So now, Doubt, here's your moment. Um, Retweet,
Retweet.
retweet, repost, upvote. It got a lot of upvotes too. So, do you have any tips regarding the practical application of customer lifetime value for retail slash e-commerce for non-subscription products? So, what do you think, man?
Yeah, let's it's a big long question, so let's
Yeah.
put in the question, or I think it's too big to show over here. But he continues with, so suppose you sell candles and you
Mm.
know that when a candle runs out, the customer comes back for a new candle. In practice, the customer does this an X number of times, thus providing a certain lifetime value. Best practices for applying this in a bidding strategy. Is PMAX new customer setting interesting for this? Or would you instead set a more aggressive target ROAS for a specific campaign and then continue to analyze revenue growth over an X period of time? So I think this is a really interesting question. Thanks, Doud, for retweeting
Mm.
this, because this is a very nice one to answer as well. I think there are multiple ways how you can account for the additional lifetime value within your campaigns. First of all, you will have to make sure that all the data that you're sending over to Google Ads contains all these important details, of which you can see, oh, is it a new customer or is it a returning customer? Of course, you have your customer lists, so those you can basically just sync with your CRM system or your e-commerce software, so all the customer lists get synchronized every 24 hours. That's a great way as well. But I'm more pointing towards the new customer variable that you want to take into account over here. So within Google Tag Manager, you have the option to send over additional customer details with your conversion tracking tag. And over there, you can basically say for each and every conversion if the conversion took place from a new customer or a returning customer. And if you send over those details to Google Ads, you can basically segment all your campaigns and see how many new customers there are in there and how many of those customers returned one or multiple times. So, assuming you've got those data points in place, you can then act based on the data you see. So first of all, what you can analyze for is if your returning customers are coming back frequently from your non-branded campaigns, then you might want to act on that, and you might want to create separate RSLA campaigns for those. So of course you need hell of a lot of data for this. So I don't recommend to anybody to just create segmented campaigns for new versus returning customers. But if you're sitting on a really big mountain of data and you can easily segment those data points out, and you still have enough conversion data per campaign to got that campaign running, then you might want to separate out your search campaigns from returning and new customers. And what you can do is then calculate the actual customer lifetime value per category, per product. I'm not sure how your assortment looks like, but then you can adjust your bidding strategies target based on the actual data, and you can let the algorithm bid more detailed on returning and new customers. So that's the first thing you can basically do. Then
First
there's
thing.
that's the first thing. There are more ways, and I think Google Ads is at this very moment working on a integration from Google Tag Manager that allows you to send over the updated customer lifetime value. Because if you open Google Tag Manager, you go to your Google Ads conversion tracking, and you hit new customer data as a checkbox, you will see like a new field that's called lifetime value of customer. And in that field, you will be. It's possible to send over the actual customer lifetime value of that customer, so it gets sent over to Google Ads. In Google Ads, you also see a small column from within the conversion column set. It's a default column, and it also is saying new customer lifetime value. And if you hover over for additional content, it says no content. And if you search for the actual feature in Google support articles, you will find nothing at this very moment. But I think that in the since it's already integrated into GTM and into the UI, I think you will be able to send over the customer lifetime value, the updated customer lifetime value of the customer, and then have the algorithm adjust the bits based off the total value of that specific customer, which would be insanely helpful for you in this very case. And I think once that is in place, if I just continue to visualize a little bit further, I think you don't really need to segment out your campaigns anymore, because I suspect, I really think that there will be a new feature enabled, just like new customer acquisition, where you can adjust your bids based on the actual customer lifetime value. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So that's really interesting, I think. Um, so back to the other options. What you could also do and look into are are conversion rules. This is not a thing that I'm a huge fan of, and I know that Miles is also not a great fan of conversion value rules. But what you could do is based on a customer list. Is selecting that audience list and multiply or add a certain amount of conversion value. So you basically let the algorithm bid a little bit more aggressively for returning customers. But it's only available to multiply or add. It's not possible to retract a certain number or decrease your bids, for example, for returning customers. That might be a case to be made as well. So you can look into the conversion value rules part, but I think it's a bit dangerous because it's really a flat, generic way of increasing your bids, basically. So not really a huge fan of that because we also do it on campaign level. Then there's one last option that you can think about, and that might be an interesting one, but it has its implication. You have to be really careful with this one as well. Is that you basically um, uh, uh, sit with your with your development team, and also with your analytics team, figure out what the average customer lifetime value is within certain categories or for certain products, then create a new data layer variable that is basically the order value plus the expected customer lifetime value of the customer based on the products they bought, and then send over that value, so the order value plus the expected future lifetime value, to Google Tag Manager. Select that data layer variable as the variable for your conversion value. So you can basically just send it over to Google Ads and have the algorithm bid for the lifetime value straight away. So that might be a very interesting one for you to look into as well. But that requires a lot of data crunching, and it will require some dev work because you have to alter your data layers and add it with this data layer variable. So what I said earlier, it has its implications because once a customer comes back in the future and you aren't segmenting out your campaigns or aren't excluding, for example, returning customers for certain aggressive prospecting campaigns, then you might end up with a too high customer acquisition cost, a too high CAC. So you have to take into account that as well and think about a second strategy regarding how to basically bid for returning customers in the future as well without spending the whole marketing budget on the first conversion in the first place. So those are things that you could think about, in my opinion. Quick disclaimer: I haven't tried any of these. These are just pure theoretical. But you might want to dig deeper in this and think it out and discuss it with your colleagues. What do
Nice.
you think,
Wow.
Niels?
That's sick, man. That's a lot. So I think, especially in this case with customer lifetime value, I think it's always such a case by case example. Because there's no, I don't think there's like one way to approach everything that, which is with nothing in Google Ads, but especially with customer lifetime value, because for some brands, they have a lot of repeat purchases and then thus a higher customer lifetime value, and then they need to maybe invest more in like the first one, two, or three conversions. I have a lot of clients that actually, just by sheer coincidence, have low lifetime value, low customer lifetime value, because it's just a one-off purchase, and then maybe like
Mm-hmm.
a year later they will buy again as a gift, and then that's it. Um, so it's really case by case, but I think the examples that you gave, I think that's super great. I'm not sure if Dout is actually watching. If you are, can you actually just let us know in the chat what you think, if that was useful? And otherwise, if you're watching the replay, just let us know in Discord.
I
There's a
feel
follow-up.
free
Yeah,
to reach out, Dout, if you have any additional questions, because I'm really keen to have a discussion about this,
yeah,
to see how you can make this work for your case. So
yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
it's
looking forward for your reply.
yeah, and it's really advanced stuff for sure, like customer lifetime value integrations. I think it's always good to be aware of your customer lifetime value, even if you're not applying it on a daily basis or in your actual technical setup in Google Ads, it's always good to be aware of the numbers, because then you can compare that to your, yeah, in ecom. I think one of the most important metrics or most popular metrics right now is your CAC to customer lifetime value ratio. So that basically shows you how often you sort of get your return based on your customer lifetime value compared to your cost to acquire a customer. So if that is out of balance and you're spending way too much on the cost to acquire a customer because you're saying, yeah, we have a high customer lifetime value, but then that customer lifetime value is actually much lower compared to what you're spending on that initial conversion, then that could lead to problems. So it's always good to be
Mm.
aware of the numbers. There's a follow-up question actually, and then we can go to another one. It's from Jude. Yeah, he's asking, why are you guys not a big fan of conversion rules? You just mentioned that. Could you explain that for a sec?
Yeah, because I think it's a very generic way to increase your conversion value columns within Google Ads. For example, you can leverage the conversion value rules on campaign level, and what you can do is basically increase the reported conversion value in your columns. Thus, the bidding strategies are basically having more room to bid more aggressively, but it's very generic. So, for example, if you select a audience, which is your returning customer list, and you determine to multiply your conversion value for that audience list by 1.2, then you're just doing that for all the customers, and
Yeah.
in almost all the times, it's way more detailed and way more how do you say it? Yeah,
Granular.
way more granular indeed, way more granular than that. So it really comes down to a lot of different values for different segments of your returning customer list. So you really have to think this through. And what I see in a lot of accounts, I also audit, is that people just tend to, oh, let's just select this segment, or just select this geographical location, or just select this device, and then just multiply it by
Mhm.
1.1 or 1.2, or just add a static number on top. So I think a lot of people aren't actually thinking through the implications it might have on certain uh, granularities of certain aspects, and that's why I think it's very dangerous. So you can leverage it, but I think you have to be really, really careful and really thinking and calculating things through before actually using it in certain cases.
Yeah. Nice. We have a comment, Passy 555.
Pasi,
This I
Pascal.
like this. I like this. Oh, Pascal. No, yeah, that's right. I like this about Discord and YouTube. It's all like people can just take whatever name they want to. But yeah, Pascal, you're right. Dowd is not watching right now, but he will actually pass it along. So that's awesome to hear. Let's see if we can get another question from the chat. Yeah, I have one, and then I will pull one from Discord again. Um, when you changed a question from Mahmoud, when you change the bid strategy for Google search campaigns, do you duplicate the campaign or do you keep it as it is? Um, shall I take it?
No. Yeah, you take it. Yeah.
No? You
Go
want
ahead.
it? Okay. Yeah, no. No, yeah, that in most cases, no, just keep it in the same campaign. Like, it kind of depends on what you want to change it to and what your goal is. But in most cases, let's say you have, I don't have enough information to really answer it. So if you have more details and more context to your question, Mahmoud, then I would love to answer it better. But let's say you want to switch from, for example, maximize conversions to target OS, um, then definitely do not set up a new campaign, because you're just going to lose out on the historical data that was already built up inside of that uh, campaign that you already had. So in most cases, I would say just keep the existing campaign and just change the bid strategy in there. Um, unless you have a really good reason to do so. But yeah, I don't really see why you would create a new campaign just for changing the bid strategy, unless there's like a small thing that you want to test or something. Um, cool. Let's go on with move on to a question from Mike. This is a cool question as well. Let me see how I can pull it up on the screen. It's a long one as well, so it's going to be cut off, but that's okay. Um, I will read it. Oh, yeah, here we go. How do you go about setting up your first campaign in a big market, for example, UK or US? Are there different settings you would use comparing to a campaign in a smaller market with little competition? What are some of the things you are considering when starting out fresh with a limited budget? So basically, the question is, what would you do if you launch a new campaign in a competitive market, compared with a small budget compared to maybe a little bit less competitive market?
What I would do, I would first look into your analytics data. So starting, he mentioned starting off fresh. Let's just assume that he's creating a new Google Ads account with new Google Ads campaigns, but that he has in fact has a lot of historical data within his Google Analytics accounts. So first of all, I would analyze your analytics data. So see what has been working for you in the past. Segment out all your segment out the data. So see what services were performing best. See what products or categories were converting best. See what geographical locations were performing best or worse. You can analyze both sides, of course. Have a look at your devices, and what you can do with that information is basically tailor your first campaign setup towards the best converting aspects based on your own analytics data. So you start off really focused, and you can allocate your budget towards the things that have been working for you best in the past. So that's the first thing I would consider. Um, Also, what I would suggest and what I would say over here is, if you have a limited budget within a big market. So a big market for me is basically a market with lots of search volumes, not necessarily like a big country. So let's assume that your budget is way too limited towards the search volumes that are in place for certain search categories. Then you always want to go with bottom of the funnel campaigns as well. So a rookie mistakes I see people making is basically just segmenting out their campaigns into multiple full funnel campaigns, where their budget is basically just way too less, way too tight for a really big search market. So I think that's the wrong way to see this. I would start with a really focused bottom of the funnel campaign, allocate your limited budget towards there, get that campaign ROI positive as soon as possible, then get buy-in from your client or get buy-in from your
Mm,
boss and see that let him see that it's working, that it's converting, and then basically just try to get more budget so you can scale your current bottom of the funnel campaign to maybe different geographical locations, maybe to other devices, maybe to different search categories, and then just go one step bigger, more generic every time. But start off very, very, very granular in the places that have been working for you in the past. So that's what I would say. Any
nice.
additions to that?
So yeah, so basically get proof of concept as fast as possible. And it's this is really nice because I don't think people talk about Google Ads on limited budget enough and how
Hmm.
the best practices differ from big accounts that are heavily automated as well. So here's an example. I'm actually working with a client that is really big already in a lot of markets in Europe, and they were looking for ways to expand. So the target markets were UK, Spain, France. Yeah, that's it. Those are and Denmark. Those were the main ones. And the test that we basically did is because it's a big brand with a lot of yeah with good finances, they were able to do much different strategy where we just said, okay, we're gonna enter this market with broad targeting, broad keywords only, and for the first few weeks, it was totally shit. Like it was really bad because you're entering a new market, and especially if you're not doing a lot of branding and creating brand awareness around that, then you need a lot of time in the beginning for people to actually understand who you are. You need to change your messaging based on the markets because what you're communicating in Netherlands is different from what you're communicating in Germany. Even if you're doing UK and US, then there might be some differences between those markets that could really make or break a campaign in terms of messaging or delivery or payment methods, those things. Um, so after a few weeks, then performance really started to pick up, and then it became much better. Now it's actually pretty solid. But that's a completely different strategy, and that's the one that Google will also recommend as a sort of go-to-market strategy. Just start broad, and then narrow
Spend
in,
heavily. Yeah.
spend heavily, and then
Yeah.
narrow down and double down on what's working. But the thing that you're saying is just really the other way around, and I think that's really nice for people that are working with limited budgets because especially if you're an ecom brand, and I know this as well from one running my own drop shipping stores in the past, like really small, but if you only have like a few €100 to spend or maybe 1,000 or so, then you need to make different decisions and really start small. So I really like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I also think it's a great strategy for agencies to just start off small and
Mm,
get this buy-in from your client early stage. So
yeah.
just be careful with their budgets. Really deliver the message that you're really wary of what you're doing and what you're spending it on. And then once you got the traction and you got the results that it's actually working, then I think that's the best way to start off with client relations because they instantly trust you. You get 9 out of 10 times you get the go to increase budgets,
Hmm.
and if you start off too broad, too generic with a too aggressive budget, and you have to scale down, I think that isn't really necessarily the best way to start off a relationship, because
Yeah.
after the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, you have to sit down with your client and discuss the results, and it's like, meh, we just overspent too much for too little results. So
Yeah.
I like to start off small, I think, but that's just the way I think you would like to work, and it differs from people to people.
And especially if you're working with small budgets and clients with small
Yeah.
budgets, then they will, like you said, like the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. But trust me, they will ask you after the first 3 days or so about how it's going because it's a
Yeah.
small budget. It's all they have, So they need to make sure that it's being spent in the right ways. And in the beginning, it's so important to get those learnings and actually see what's working and just start small. Like, do a small few drops here and there, and then you can see like, oh, this keyword worked well. Run it
Mhm.
up, see how it performs with higher budget. So that's awesome. Cool. Let's do one or two more, then we can round it off here. Eric's also laughing about the spend heavily strategy. Uh, yeah, sometimes it works. Like it kind of depends on the go-to market strategy and the brand as a whole. So here's a question from
Yeah.
Niels, actually one of the OGs in the space. Thanks for joining, man. I see you're
Nice.
calling
Good
in
to see you
from
around, Niels.
sunny, yeah, sunny Curacao. That's awesome. Must be early there, I think, early
Yeah,
morning.
it's like
Um,
7 o'clock or even earlier.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So what optimization tasks related to managing PMAX campaigns currently take up most of your time? How's that for you?
For me, it's mostly, I think, creative related. Although I am having issues with the performance labels lately. So what I normally do is basically just optimize heavily towards the best performing assets, create new variants based on those, have like a big log sheet of all of new IDs, images ready to be implemented straight away. But I'm seeing in a lot of my accounts that my labels are changing quite frequently. So what I mean by that is they change from good to best, from best to good, from good to low. And I
Yeah.
thought in the first instance that it was quite stable, but it's
Hmm.
you really have to pay attention to the changing frequency of your labels, because otherwise you might be hopping out good performing assets. But right now, I'm seeing a lot of TBD, to be determined
Yeah.
labels, and I'm basically just like, hey, where did where did my performance labels go?
There's nothing.
And this happens in really really big accounts
Hmm.
with like thousands of euros of spent each day through the PMAX campaigns. So
Yeah.
right now I'm like waiting till they come back. I'm not sure if you see this as well in your campaigns,
Hmm.
Mas.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like really weird. It just happened like from 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And well, other optimizations, I would say I'm really looking, analyzing, monitoring the amount of spend allocated towards the networks. Luc Fitz created a great script for monitoring this, but that's really a monitoring thing. If you see certain aspects over there, you can alter your strategy. I'm also a fan of looking into your consumer spotlight section, which are basically your insights on search category level within your PMS campaign, and hop over the high volume, good converting searches or search categories in your search campaigns, but that's more like a cross optimization. I wouldn't say that's a PMAX optimization, but you can use those insights for your search campaigns. That's a big thing I'm doing right now. And then I think a lot is based on monitoring, analyzing, and seeing if it actually delivers what you're telling it to do. So not really. There are, of course, a lot of different things you can do, but if I take a look at the things I'm currently doing, those are the things. Are there any things that you're doing differently, Miles, or
Well,
additionally?
well, the thing is, I think with Performance Max, it's kind of the cliche of what everybody has been saying the last few years is actually becoming true now. Is that you're spending much less time inside of the actual campaigns, optimizing
Hmm.
and doing more, freeing up more time for strategy. That's what everybody
Yeah.
had been saying for the last few years, but now it's actually true, I would say, because in Performance Max, there's not a whole lot that you can do on a daily basis. Uh, in terms of tweaking, but there's a lot of analyzing that goes with it. So for me, maybe like analysis could be part of your optimization stack in the sense is that I'm spending a lot of time every day just to go through all of my campaigns, and I spoke about this in one of my earlier in one of the earlier Q and A's that we did. But this is actually something that I'm doing that I don't think a lot of specialists are doing, but this helps me get a very good helicopter view of my performance in my accounts and also Performance Max. Is just go through every single campaign every single day just to look at the data, and then I sort of absorb that data, and then after a while I just know Performance Max campaign A performed like X on Monday, and then it did this on Tuesday, and then I know on Friday, oh, I have to really look at the creatives, for example, because whatever happened, or I need to change the ROAS targets because we're kind of a little bit below or above target. But in terms of daily optimizations for Performance Max, there's not a whole lot instead of or except budgets, ROAS targets, creatives, but you're not doing that a lot. Like there's not a lot of let's say wasted time spent on optimization. And for me at least, there's been a huge shift towards more observing and analyzing, and then using that helicopter view to jump in and make changes
Try
whenever
out new
needed. And
things. Yeah.
yeah, and I think the changes that you make on Performance Max are also much more on the macro level. Because I had a campaign, and I wrote about this in one of the PPC Edge of the one of the latest issues. That we identified a campaign that was spending a lot, like 60% plus on video placements.
Wow.
And then we changed that. Yeah, it's crazy. And then we changed that reverted it back to feed only. Then that didn't work. Then we changed it to standard shopping. So those are like really big changes that have a big impact on the campaign. And you don't do that every single week. But
Mhm.
that's basically a long answer to your question, Niels. And I hope it gives some context.
Yeah, the things you do are basically just bigger, really
Yeah,
bigger strategy related optimizations, in my opinion. So there are a lot of granular things you can do, of course, but the ones that make impact are basically just the bigger strategy related optimizations you make based on what you see and what's working, what's not working in your PMax campaigns. Um, so I
yeah,
so I just pinned this comment from Niels. He's also seeing weird results in the performance label. So I think it's time for Google to look into this because it's
yeah.
happening across Google Ads land,
It's
basically.
what everybody has been saying. I think for the last 2 3 months is that Google launched a product that's just not finished yet, and we're
Yeah,
forced to use it, and we're spending all of the budget there. But it yeah definitely feels like it's not completely finished yet, and you see that in this as well. What up, Max?
nice. Hey,
All right.
Betolstorter, we have him in house.
Hey, dude, you're late, man. We're almost finished. He's dropping a question as well. He's dropping a question. Okay. How
We're going to
seriously do
save
you?
that one. I'm going to save that one for next week, Mr.
Nice.
Betolstorter.
Yeah, because you're late. You're late, man.
We're 7 minutes over time. 8
Okay,
minutes.
cool. All right. Let's finish it then. Like nice
Yeah.
little cliffhanger for next week. I see we have a question from Martin as well. If you
He
come
said he
back
was
next
here from
week,
the start.
who I asked him. We actually shouted you out. Did you?
Oh, yeah. He
Okay.
forgot. He forgot to say hi. Yeah.
Next time you gotta say good morning, man. Come on.
Yeah. You got to run the GMs, otherwise
Got a
we will
GM,
just
GM.
go on.
Everyone who's not in the Discord is now like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? But yeah, we have a lot of other questions, guys. We cannot really take them all. But if you come back next week, just drop them in Discord, and then we'll try our best to talk about it next week. Actually, next week is a solo session from Bob again because I can join since I'm driving back to the Netherlands from Malaga. But yeah,
It's the first day
if you
for
have to
me
do
as well in the Netherlands. I land
this.
Thursday evening, so that's nice. I won't have this gear. I think it will be like a earplug session. So sorry for the audio
Yeah,
quality already, but
should be good. Yeah, no crisp voice. Cool. Let's finish it, man. I think this was a good one. Nice discussion points. For everyone that's watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, the recordings will be automatically posted on our YouTube channel. Just look for PPC Mastery on YouTube and you'll find it. And don't forget to join our Discord. It's free. We have over 2,300 people in here, Google Ads specialists waiting to welcome you and laugh about shit posts and memes and actually share some knowledge as well. If you want to get an advanced Google Ads tip in your mailbox every Monday, go ahead and subscribe to the PPC Edge at ppcmastery.com/blog. My pitches, my plugs are getting faster. Um, and finally, let's
smooth
see if I
sailing.
can actually, yeah, if I can do this. Boom.
Oh wow! Oh, this is
This
ending
is
in a sales pitch. I didn't know this.
yeah, man, for sure. If you do you ever feel like Google Ads? No, I'm not gonna do the whole sales pitch. We're actually launching or have launched a cool new program. It's called the Google Ads Masterclass. It's a 4 week online live training program with advanced topics. with advanced conversion tracking, performance max, advanced experiments, and a lot more. If you think that's interesting for you, just go to ppcmastery.com and the links will be there. And you can, yeah, jump on a live training program with us starting in January. I think this was the worst plug and worst pitch I've ever done in my life, so
Buy one,
I
get
haven't
three free.
practiced it yet. Yeah.
Buy one, get two free.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it from me. Bob, any concluding thoughts?
No, I'm almost off to the weekend. So I wish everyone a good weekend. And see you next week. Thanks for
Yep.
your time and watching.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking to the end. And
Ciao,
peace.
ciao.